Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to Lifestyle to Health. Today is day 16. We've gone a little over 2 weeks. I hope y'all are feeling much better. Let us know how you're feeling. I know some of the folks are telling us they've lost weight. They feel less inches in their waist. They have more energy. Let us know how you're doing. One of the challenges that we see out there today, sometimes it's amazing. People will come in and they'll say, "Good morning, Karen." They'll come in and they'll say, "Walt, I don't go have a bowel movement very often." Well, how often do you have it? Oh, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. One day I had a lady, she was, came right over there, and she was actually a trim lady. And she said she was having challenges with constipation. And I said, "Well, how often do you go?" She says, "Well, I go every 3 weeks if I take something then." I said, "Well, let me get something for you." So I offered several things, and the only thing she was interested in was maybe just take some fiber. And so she took fiber. She was gone and came back about a week later. And I said, "So how are you doing?" She says, "This just does not work for me." I said, "Why?" And she says, "I'm going too often." And I said, "Well, how often are you going?" She says, 3 times a day. And I said, "Well, that's how many meals do you eat?" She said, 3 meals. I said, "Well, that's what's recommended." She goes, "Oh, I don't have time for that." And she says, "No, I have to do something else." And so, it's interesting as we look at how often we should have a bowel movement. You read differing degrees based on who you're talking with, but at least once a day is good. But we're told that as many meals as you have a day, you need to have that many bowel movements. Some say that many plus 1. So it just depends on who you're talking with. Let's look at a little research here. Constipation is one of the most frequent gastrointestinal complaints in the United States and Western countries. There are at least 2.5 million doctor visits for constipation in the United States each year, and hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on laxatives yearly. And we get folks coming in, they're taking laxatives and they're wanting something more natural. Is there something else we can do? Chronic constipation is a serious issue affecting 15% to 20% of the United States population overall. But an age-related increase in prevalence of constipation has been seen, with 30 to 40% of adults over 65 citing constipation as a problem. So those folks who are 65 or older, they are stating that somewhere between 30 and 40% are complaining of constipation. So what can be done? There's several basic keys. Just as we look at these 9 laws of health for a body being healthy: nutrition, exercise, water, sunshine, making the right decisions, temperance, fresh air, rest, being happy, and trusting God. Those basic 9 laws are huge in how well your body runs. Well, constipation also has a very similar situation. There are things that makes it work or not work. We call peristalsis. And here's what they are. Number 1 is water. When we are dehydrated, the hypothalamus says, "Guys, where's there some more water?" And though the colon is supposed to absorb fluids, it absorbs fluids to get more, and it sucks the feces drier. Another item is fiber. Fiber is huge as we look at what kind of foods do we eat. Do we eat dairy? And I grew up on a dairy farm. I love dairy. When we got married, I told Mary Lou I want 6 kinds of cheese in the refrigerator at all times when we can afford it. You're getting out of school, and I said, well, when we can afford it. Well, I wanted 6 kinds of cheese. I wanted at least one. I wanted at least 1 container of cottage cheese. I wanted a gallon of milk that wasn't even open yet. I loved dairy. She put it in so many of our entrees. But do you know how much fiber dairy has? 0. Well, what about meat? I had someone come in yesterday, and as many times they come in, and we talk about what diet has Cornell found and Cambridge University found that will cause you to live longer. And we talk about the consequences of eating meat. This person had high cholesterol. Where do you get cholesterol? What food has high cholesterol? Well, it's anything that has a mama, anything that has a mother has cholesterol. So if eating meat, you're gonna have higher cholesterol based on that cholesterol in the meat. And if she's wanting to reduce her cholesterol, she needs to cut back on the cholesterol consumption, and that's meat. She's, I have to have my meat. And so often we have this mindset that you have to have meat to have protein. You have to have meat to have nutrients. Did you know that according to Cornell University, when you eat a cow, you eat a chicken, you eat a pig, the nutrients you get from that animal is not from the animal. The nutrients you get from that meat is what that animal ate. So you're actually consuming what that animal ate. I don't want to eat what a pig ate. And so when we look at fiber, dairy doesn't have fiber, meat doesn't have fiber. What about processed foods? Do processed foods have fiber? Very little, if any. And so where do you get it? You get it in your whole foods, in your fruits, your nuts, your grains, your vegetables, in your apple. Apple's got a great source of fiber. And in our other fruits that we're eating each morning, as we look at the vegetables that we're eating in our salad, as we look at the grains that we're eating in our brown rice, that's got fiber. And that is what helps with peristalsis. Another one that we find that's very beneficial in having peristalsis to work, that movement of the fecal material in the colon, is exercise. One of the best ones is a mini trampoline. And you've heard me talk several times about a mini trampoline. Mini trampolines are amazing in body health, whether it's building the immune system. Just jumping 5 minutes on a mini trampoline will increase your immune system 300% for 1 hour. Increasing the lymphatic flow. Increase your lymphatic pumps tenfold when we jump on a mini trampoline. So there's a lot of it. It helps with bone density. Well, it also helps with peristalsis. But just get out there and walk. Whatever you can do, get that exercise going, and that will help with peristalsis. I can have folks come in and they drink adequate water, they have plenty of fiber, they have exercise, but this fourth item, when they apply that, boom, peristalsis starts working. And we hardly ever see this anymore. But yet, when we were kids, think of when we went to Grandma's house. When you went to Grandma's house, and yes, she may have had a cookie jar, but a lot of times, if you went to grab something, Grandma would slap your hand and say, "Boy, that's going to spoil your meal." Remember that? Breakfast, dinner, and supper. Breakfast, dinner, and supper with the same time every day. It's like a clock. Well, eating breakfast, dinner, and supper at the same time every day, or if you just eat 2 meals, breakfast and dinner, it makes peristalsis start to work. And we'll have folks come in who have the adequate hydration, the adequate fiber, the adequate exercise, but when they start eating breakfast and dinner, and if they eat supper at the same time every day, just boom, peristalsis starts to work. The fifth item, and Dr. John Harvey Kellogg is one who identified this, and he said, when you ignore the urge, your brain thinks that must not be important. And he said we should be as the native Indians. Excuse me. We should be as the natives. And we should, when we have to go, just go to the bathroom. And a lot of jobs today, let's say you drive a tractor trailer and you say, I've got another 200 miles before I need fuel, before I pull off. Or you may be working at Walmart, running the cash register, and you don't have another break. You don't have break for another hour and a half. Or you may be a school teacher. When we were in school and the teacher had to go to the bathroom, she'd just say, "Johnny, you're the room monitor till I get back." Well, you can't do that anymore. There's got to be a qualified person in that room at all times. That teacher just can't go and run to the restroom real quick. And so she has to stay there. He has to stay there until, there's a break. When we do that, what happens is we're telling the brain that urge to have a bowel movement, we're ignoring it, so it must not be that important. And Kellogg said we start ignoring the urge, the brain starts saying that's not important, and it stops identifying it. So how do you get it going again? Kellogg said just every time you feel the urge, say, excuse me, I've got to take care of something. I'll be back in just a moment. And figure out a way that you can go and have that bowel movement when you have the urge. You retrain the brain that that's important. That's amazing. Is there any supplements that we can do? Well, I like magnesium. I like magnesium for a lot of reasons. I mentioned the other day that I had a friend call me recently who's a hospitalist in a hospital down in Chattanooga, and and he has every patient that comes into the hospital, he has a magnesium and a potassium done on every admission. He's finding 90 to 95% of all admissions into that hospital being magnesium deficient and potassium deficiency. And I've read for a number of years that it is probably 85% of the American population is deficient in magnesium. But in that hospital in Chattanooga, they're finding it is 90 to 95% of all admissions to that hospital are magnesium deficient. We need magnesium. We need it for brain health. We need it for nerve health. We need it for muscle health. Heart, huge. Heart's a muscle, but heart really needs magnesium. Our body just needs it. It helps with also peristalsis. And so you can take, I like mag citrate, but use a magnesium that works well for you, and take it to bowel tolerance. So let's say you do 400 milligrams in the morning, 400 milligrams at noon, 400 milligrams at night. It can help people sleep. It can help with restless legs. 75% of restless legs is due to magnesium deficiency. So it's going to help with that. But just take it throughout the day, and you just keep increasing until you have a loose stool. And then you go back to what's called bowel tolerance, and you take it to when, and sometimes you may say, okay, I need to take a little less tomorrow, but it works. It's usually not that up and down, but take enough that it loosens your stool. And it works quite well. It's not that expensive. It's not hard on your body, and your body needs the magnesium anyway. Another one that we do quite a bit, folks will use Nopalina, especially our older generation likes Nopalina. It's full of fiber, and it has senna. It works very easy. It's easy on the digestive system. It doesn't hurt the stomach. And folks will take a tablespoon in the morning, tablespoon at night. The most I've seen needed is 2 tablespoons in the morning, 2 tablespoons at night. Just put it in some water, some apple juice. But this works very well. Nopalina. There's all kinds of things out here like Vitalax and different things that are just herbs that help to stimulate peristalsis. That's in a pill that you can take. Or you may want to do just senna. It's these leaves, senna leaves, and folks will come in and they'll just buy the senna leaves and they'll make a tea of it and they'll drink this every day, and that can help to increase peristalsis. Another one is Cascara sagrada. Cascara sagrada is a little more aggressive, but you see that in a lot of the capsules out there. But people will come in and they'll make a tea of Cascara sagrada. Another one that I saw, maybe more of back around 25 years ago. I haven't seen it as much as of late, and that's Haritaki. Haritaki, I believe, is from India, and some folks like using Haritaki. Whatever it takes to work that's healthy. But first, I try, yes, it's good to take magnesium. I like this one a lot. We need to take that one anyway. Because of the issues of Roundup on the soil, where it binds the magnesium, where it doesn't come up in the food because of the food's super hybridized, or it may be because the way they changed its chromosomes. It might because of the issues of heirloom seeds. Folks aren't using those, using hybrid seeds, or it could be because of erosion, because of a process. There's a lot of reasons that we're low in magnesium. But the big ones, water, stay hydrated. Our brain needs the water. Every organ in our body needs water. Are we drinking adequate water? Are we sipping on the water? About that much, 4 different times every 30 minutes will keep us well hydrated. If I went and drank this whole tumbler, I'm only going to absorb, at one time, I'm only going to absorb 2 to 3 ounces of that. And the balance is just going to urinate off. And so you can, if you drink this tumbler, you say, oh, well, there's 12 ounces or whatever in here. You can't count the 12 ounces if you just drink it all at once. You can only count 2 or 3. The fiber is good. You know, in our fruits, our vegetables, our nuts, and that's a great source of fiber. That's we've got to have fiber to help move that through, and it's huge. Some of the folks say in this program, I don't have as many bowel movements. It's kind of slowed down, especially if you juice. What's amazing to me is some people will juice. They'll do a 60-day juice fast. Some do a 70-day juice fast. Some do a 90-day juice fast. And it's not surprising that their bowel movements will slow down because they pulled the fiber out of the food products, left the nutrients there, just pulled the fiber out, and they're now drinking or the fiber. Good morning, Judy. But it's not surprising that those folks' bowel movements may slow down. But I have some folks who do juicing, and they just still keep having the same volume of bowel movements. I don't understand how that is, but they do. Or maybe you're doing the Duke diet, and maybe your bowel movements are slowed down. You'll be fine. The biggest issue is, you know, you're doing that fiber. Exercise will increase that up. You make sure you're drinking adequate water, making sure you're exercising adequately, and eating it at the same time every day. That's so important. And are you ignoring the urge? So as we're retraining our body through the restoration program, some things get a little change a little bit. If you need to up it a little bit, you can. You feel like you need to add something extra to increase that peristalsis. Add some magnesium. That'll help you. You can try the Nopalina, but the bowels are so important for our bodies to feel well. We've got to get rid of that waste. I'd like to share with you this morning Matthew 19:26. Matthew 19:26, and as y'all see, as you've listened in here, I believe that trusting God is a huge component in the body being healthy. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible. With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And you may say, well, yes, I'm my belly's feeling better. I can get in my pants better. I have a little more energy, but I just miss that food. I need to eat. Well, what does it say here? With men it is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Well, y'all have a great day. I'll see y'all tomorrow.